Are you feeling a little overwhelmed right now? Are the events going on in the world and the events going on in your life taking you out of your center? Are they putting you into your head where you're trying to overthink and overanalyze everything in order to make sense of it and in order to gain some kind of control over everything that's going on? Well, if you are, you're not alone. I certainly have been going into a bit of overwhelm recently, and although it can be really frustrating, it's teaching me so much about myself that I just felt like sharing it with you guys. You see, we go up into our heads to think and to analyze and to gain a sense of control when we try and control everything that's going on around us. Now, we can't really control the situations in the world right now, and even the situations in our life that are going on around us, we can't really have a control over that either. Our minds will tell us something else. Our minds think that we can try and control everything that's going on around us, and what that does is activate the head, put our energy up here. It actually stresses our nervous system, puts us into a state of fight or flight. It disempowers us, and it triggers our survival emotions such as fear, apathy, anger, pride, lust, shame and guilt. And essentially it puts us further into this hole of helplessness where we feel that we're so affected by the world and that we can't do anything to change it. And in order to not feel that, we go up into our head even more and then try and control more, and it's this never-ending spiral of going deeper and deeper into heavy emotions, dysregulation, overthinking, and it really does us no good at all. I'm sure you would agree. Now, the truth is, there is a sense of control you can have over everything that's going on in your life, but that control is essentially coming from within you. So you can't control everything that's going on around you, but you can control how you react to everything that's going on around you. You control how you respond to the world. Now, really, you have a choice of reacting or responding. Reacting is where things happen outside of you and you react because of that. Respond is more of a choice, because you're not allowing everything that's going on outside of you to affect you internally, and therefore you have time to compose, ground yourself, and then choose the best response to what's happening. So, I mean, I kind of have talked about this many times in a lot of videos, but I feel it's an important message and I need to be constantly reminded of it. Is that really we're just experiencing our inner world. Nothing outside of yourself has an effect inside of you. Nothing affects your emotions, nothing affects your feelings, the sensations in your body, the stress, other than you. You can't experience thoughts, stress, anxiety, depression, emotions. You can't experience that outside of you. So everything is experienced from within. And as soon as you blame or make responsible anything outside of you for your internal state, that's when you disempower yourself. That sends you further down into the spiral. That's what literally triggers the survival emotions of fear, anger, despair, all of it. Like, think about that, right? I feel it's a really important message, and not a lot of people understand this. Understanding it's the first step, and then it's embodying it. So you have a true embodied understanding that when you blame anything outside of you, you disempower yourself. And the reason we disempower ourselves is because having that belief that we're affected by the world literally triggers our parasympathetic nervous system, and that's our survival response, and that triggers the emotions, the survival emotions that are designed to help us fight that threat or escape it, right? Fight or flight. And if you are ADHD or you're a bit sensitive, and almost everyone at least claims they have ADHD these days, right? That is when we go into the state of overwhelm, when we go into the freeze state, fight, or flee or freeze, because there's too much going on. And there's just so much going on in the world. And you can't change it. And you can't really change what's going on in your life, other than changing how you respond to life, and then allowing your life to respond to that. Because your whole life is a complete expression of how you feel internally, right? This isn't anything new. This knowledge goes back thousands of years, as within, so without. Now, I know these sayings are very esoteric and grand, but isn't it fascinating how they apply today, in today's world, just as much as they applied many thousands of years ago? That would imply that the teachings back then understood something that maybe we don't. They understood the truth about our nature. They understood the truth about ourselves. And today, and these teachings go back many thousands of years. If you imagine that timeline of 10,000 years, schools, spiritual schools and texts were all teaching us how to be healthy and happy, really, right? That's all it is. That's really all spiritual advancement is becoming happier. They all knew that you had to be out of fight or flight before you could do that, which is why when you do Qigong and the true yoga, it's all about coming out of stress, coming into regulation before you can advance spiritually. So you got to come out of stress in order to be happy, really. And then, but we're born in this tiny little part of the timeline. We're in the Industrial Revolution, after the Industrial Revolution, where our schools weren't designed for us to be happy and healthy. I don't think that needs to be a can't think of the word right now. A begins with C. Nah, it's gone. Conspiracy. It's just fact. We're not prepared for everyday life in school. We're not prepared to respond to life. We're not prepared. We're not taught how to regulate ourselves, how to be happy, how to be healthy. Everything I know about health was self-taught. It was never taught to me. That's pretty crazy, right? I mean, think about that. So, if you're like me, you've spent many years learning and understanding our true nature, understanding the truth about health, and now we get to apply it. But this overwhelm, this overthinking, this reacting with stress and with survival emotions can be effectively controlled. And there's two very simple yet powerful steps that I'd love to teach you. The first is to regulate your nervous system, and that's simply done by the breath. And we do that by expanding our belly and our lower backs on our inhale through the nose, because that lowers the diaphragm that sits under our lungs. That puts more oxygen into our lungs, and it actually brings us out of fight or flight and into the state of rest and digest, or whatever you want to call it, which is the state we need in order to grow and be happy and healthy. There's a lot of science behind that, but I don't have it in my head right now to talk about, but you can look that up. Once we're regulated, now we can start doing the practices to ground our energy and bring this activation out of the head and into our lower body, because that's where we enhance our calmness, we enhance our grounding, and from down here we get the choice to respond to the world, because we're not reacting quickly by our excessive thoughts, right? So if something happens in your life, something that makes you uncomfortable, be it confrontation, a difficult situation, whatever it is, your reaction is to go up into the head. Activation, thoughts about yourself, stories from the past, right? Now you're reactional. You've lost contact with your center. But the more you practice grounding, the more you practice bringing your energy down, you're essentially rewiring your brain to respond differently to stress. And instead of going up here, you can come down here. And here's where you have more control. Here's where you get to choose how you respond to life's situations. So these teachings are very powerful, and there's only so much I can teach in a short YouTube video. Next Thursday at 7 p.m. UK time, I'm hosting an online event. Click the link in the description and check out the event itself. If this interests you, I'd love to teach you more about these ancient techniques, how they help us truly regulate, truly ground our energy down, and also the practices and the tools that you need to apply them to everyday life. So when the stress comes up, you start to learn how to respond instead of reacting. Do check out the link, and I hope to see you there. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe and share this video with anyone you feel would benefit. Thank you.